Okay, hello everybody, welcome back. Okay, so I'm trying a little something different with my camera setup. I'm actually about ready to buy a different mounting bracket because currently what's happening is, if you follow my finger, basically the mounting thing is right here, which I have one hand on one side and the other hand on the other side, which is a little difficult to craft with. So I'm going to try and get a different kind of tripod so that it will help keep the camera steady and also be out of my way. So I apologize for the last video. I just didn't even realize that the reflection from this metallic paper on the paper was being reflected by the ceiling fans, so I'm not going to do that anymore. I apologize for that. If it was annoying for you, it would have been annoying for me. Anyway, okay, so back to the project. As I was looking at this again last night, I was looking at the backside, and I see that this is going to be needing to be protected. I don't know how well you can see that right there, but the paper is kind of starting to tear. So what I'm going to do to circumvent that from happening, I'm going to come back to my little stash here of fabric strips, and we're just going to go ahead and make a little strip to go down the center of the spine here. So this one actually will work very well. I think I'd like to rough it up a little bit more though. So I like to make it a little bit more distressed and whatnot before pasting things down. So let me just use my fingernails, and I can always come back later and cut off these strings if I think it's a little too much, but it's a whole lot easier to do this now before you glue it down than after the fact. Trust me on that. Because I've done it both ways, and this definitely works better. Alright, so just kind of pulling off some strings as I can. There's probably another way this would work as well. I'm just kind of trying to go against the fabric a little bit. And if you can catch a string on the edge and kind of pull at that usually will get it going for you. There we go. Okay, so that's a little bit more than I needed. Another obviously easy way to do this would be pretty much on all fabric. If you just snip a little bit at the bottom and then rip it, it will obviously make a distressed edge. This one's just a little bit too thin to do that too, so I would have ended up with more of a mess than what I really wanted it to be. And I don't really want to waste this, because now that I'm seeing I'm going to have to do this on all 3 of these notebooks, so I want to make sure I have enough fabric to do that with, so I don't have to dye some more. Okay, I'm going to call that good. So we're just going to, whoopsie, sorry about that. That's the other thing. I need to be very careful about not doing that to you. Okay, a couple days and I'll have this situation hopefully figured out. Thank you, Amazon Prime. Okay, so I'm going to I guess mark center line to where I don't want to glue. So So I'm just going to mark kind of on the inside of both sides. I know you can't see that. I can barely see that either. But we got one there and we got one there. And I'm going to do my best to stay in those lines when I put my glue down. So let me just raise this up. I normally would never do it this way, but hopefully you can see a little bit better. This way. Okay, and I'll just add a little bit. So something else to keep in mind if you're using Fabri-Tac, if you put on too much of it, it will seep through your fabric. So something I've learned when I'm gluing fabric down with Fabri-Tac is to be sparing with it. Don't use too much. And then the other thing I like to do, I just got glue going everywhere here. The other thing I like to do is after I've just done what I did, I'm going to smooth it out with my finger. And for some reason that kind of helps to keep it from, I think it just spreads it out. You don't have any globs, I guess. This is drying really fast, so I need to work a little bit faster. Okay. And we'll just set this down kind of in the middle there. Good eye, good eye. Whoops. All right. And this is exactly what I was hoping it would do. I also wanted to make sure and do this before I glued this paper in, because obviously we want to hide this fabric in the middle. So we want to sandwich that in between the paper. So let me add a little bit of glue here. Now here I'm not going to be, I'll do this here because I don't want, you know, glue showing there, but obviously we're not going to be seeing this fabric because it'll be under the paper. So I don't need to be too worried about the glue seeping through it. Okay, and I'm just going to cut this off. There we go. All right, that side's done. Do the other side. So how is everybody's Saturday morning going so far? I guess I'm a little bit behind with filming. I'm a day behind. The last video was a bit long. I didn't intend for it to be quite that long. So thank you if you stuck in through the whole thing. And so it, as I'm sure you can imagine, took quite a while to get uploaded to this YouTube. So I actually did film the whole thing yesterday on Friday, but I didn't get it posted until today, which is Saturday morning. Okay, so I see I'm gonna have to come back and add some more glue here because it dried a little too quick. So be a little bit more liberal. Pull this out of there. And let's get that stuck down better. All right. The other thing I noticed, and I apologize for, is I'm still trying to get used to this new phone that I've got, and the video recording settings. For some reason it kept trying to refocus and kind of follow me, so I tried a different setting. Hopefully that stops that. And so yeah, I apologize for all of my faux pas with the video. You know, it's a learning curve, and the amount of time it takes to, you know, film one of these videos is kind of a lot. It's a bit of a time commitment, and I didn't want to waste the entire thing, so and I wanted to make sure that you saw the process as it was coming along, so I'll just do a better job going forward. Okay, I'm gonna stop apologizing. How about that? All right, let's get back to this. So now we're back at the point where I thought maybe I wanted to cut this down a little bit. But the more I thought about it last night, I kind of like the idea of it matching the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ready to be glued down. Oh, I wanted to use the thinner tape for this. So I'm going to move this out of the way. We're done with this for right now. And we'll get this taped down. And then I think if we don't run into a long time getting this part of it filmed, I might actually sew in the signature. But to be honest with you, that might need to be a different video altogether, because that is kind of a process too. So I don't remember if I've actually filmed one of those or not before. If I haven't, there are so many great tutorials out there that I know I've used a lot of them. I've watched a lot of different versions of how you might do it, and kind of came up with my own little system. So trust me, I'm definitely not the only one that knows how to do this. So YouTube is a wealth of knowledge, and I recommend you go out and look at as many videos as you can while you're learning how to make your own junk journal or whatever kind of book you're making, because yeah, there's so much creativity out there. It's so awesome how we have the World Wide Web now, you know, where we can all help and share with each other how we do things, and I just think it's great, you know. Okay, so just pulling off the tape here, and then like I did in the last video, I will also add some Fabri-Tac in the middle, just because I want to make sure it's really secure and it's not going to move anywhere. Okay. And I don't really mind if the Fabri-Tac goes over the adhesive tape a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything. I just want to make sure it doesn't seep out the sides. And the reason I'm using the tape along the edges is because I want to make sure that the paper edges don't come up. Okay, so now we need to center this vertically. Since we're using the tape, we don't have a whole lot of wiggle room, and I think my wiggle room is gone. Okay, so that worked out very well. So I was able to hopefully match up pretty well with this bottom piece here, and so it looks pretty darn good. Let me do a little bit of this to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. I don't want to press too hard here, because if you do, you could you know, kind of create an indentation that you may not want on your paper, but just a little bit won't hurt. All right, so now let us gently fold. I might need to wait for this to dry completely because I see we've got some buckling happening here. Okay, this might become a video of what not to do. But I'm gently trying to coax this to fold in. There we go. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a bulky spine, but I'm not too worried about that because once the glue dries, and I want it to dry in this position, because most of the time your journal is going to be closed, and we can also, when we're all done, yeah, see, I was hoping that wasn't going to happen, but it's okay. We can hide that. Once the journal dries, yeah, that's from the fabric, shoot. Okay, but you know what? I was going to add some pockets down the bottom anyway, so let us go ahead and use some of this paper here that I have. I like this one, but it looks like we're only going to get half of, we're going to have one color on one side and another pattern on the other side, which is fine. Okay, so there's that. This also would be a good one. Actually, I'll save this for a different journal because we've got a lot of arrows and directions going on here, and especially the lines here, and I feel like adding more lines is just going to be too much. So let's keep this one for another journal. You know what? We didn't add any embellishments. This is a journal with no embellishing. So let's go ahead and use this for the first. I'm gonna scooch this in a little bit. I want to match it up with the liner paper. Okay, and then I'm gonna mark it down here. I don't want it to go all the way to the center, because then we'll just have more of an issue with too much bulk in the middle. So, okay, we got this one for that side. We could do, actually, I'll save this paper for another journal as well, because it's just a little bit, might as well use it in another one. This one, again, is too busy. We got the gold foil going on already. I'm thinking this one might be good. Or we could do this. No, that's too busy. I think the grid will work. And I wanna cut off this end. So let me, here, I'll just do that with these scissors here. Okay, probably not the most straight, but it'll work. Okay, so let me see how far in I went on this one. So we're about, okay, so I'm gonna start this one about there and get this straight, and we're gonna cut it off about there. All right, let me grab my paper cutter. As I was saying before, when I sew in the signatures, I can set this under a stack of papers, or actually paper pads work really well for that, and it will train it to lay flat so it doesn't try and open up like it is right now all the time. Okay, I'm gonna just move those out of the way too because we don't need those right now. And we will cut these. Cut it up here because this side is straighter. And then this one. Oh, you know what? I have to do it down here because I can't see where my mark is. All right. There we go. Okay, so let us make sure that this is what I want before I glue it down, and it is. I tend to start on the back side. I'll tell you a secret. Because obviously a lot of times I'm kind of making it up as I go. And if I mess it up, I'd rather it be on the back side because it's less noticeable that way. I don't know. Little trick, I guess. I don't know. Probably I shouldn't have told you that. But that's what I do. So feel free to copy that if you want. Although I should say too, a lot of times when I have made a mistake, that usually ends up becoming something really cool because then I have to cover up the mistake, and then that forces me to become a little bit more creative about what I'm doing. So, and then something I could have done if I wanted to take a little bit more time was, you know, do some embellishments on this pocket here. And actually, why don't we go ahead and do that? I think I'll just go ahead and add this here just to add a little something, a little bit more interest. And I don't need to add glue to the whole back, just enough to make sure it stays down, because actually some of it will be sticking up anyway, and I don't really want it to you can move it around just a little bit like that to kind of spread the glue a little bit. Okay, so that looks good. I like that. And then let us, why did I just do that? I need the glue. Let us put this one in. There we go. And we will glue this one down. So I'm lining it up on this side first. Like I said before, we read from left to right. We're going to notice anything out of place over here first, probably. And then just kind of smooth it out. And there we go. Alright, I think that looks pretty good for the inside pockets. I'm going to let that dry. I don't really want to move it around too much right now. I will come up with some kind of tag or something to put in here. I'm thinking something with a little tab on it, maybe a scrap of that fabric to know that there is something in there. And I think this one is about done. So all we'll have to do is sew in the signature. Okay, so go ahead and throw that back. Oh, you know what else? I'm glad I didn't use that stripy paper because that's the very first thing that you see there. And that would have been a whole lot more activity going on there. So, okay. Set this aside. Now, let's see what we got for time. I can't see. Oh, we're at 24 minutes already. Okay. I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to call this one good for right now, and then I will go ahead and I think I'll shoot the next one, and then I'll do the third one on my own because I'm going to do the next two basically the same way. So I think what I'll do is I'll say sayonara for right now, and I will pick you up in the next video. Bye! Thanks for joining me!